Barely 24 hours to the governorship and state assembly election, a heightened sense of insecurity has been reported in some states ahead of the Saturday polls. Despite assurances given by the INEC and security agencies, many are unwilling to participate in the election for fear of being attacked by political thugs. In the build-up to the gubernatorial election, several cases of abduction and attacks have been recorded in states like Lagos, Rivers, Imo, and Abia. Although the presidential and national assembly elections were also characterized by incidents of violence across several areas, there were several attacks recorded which could be averted by the security personnel deployed to the polling units. Also, in some polling units, voters were threatened with their choice of candidates. Findings by our correspondents revealed that many Nigerians have given reasons why they will not participate in the gubernatorial poll on Saturday. Apart from the uncertainty in the atmosphere, many are still disappointed with the results announced by INEC from the previous election and had envisaged the same to happen on Saturday. While commending the efforts of security personnel during the presidential polls, he mentioned some loopholes observed in their conduct. He faulted the security agencies for not taking necessary actions against politicians and supporters who violated the Electoral Act and Constitution by inciting violence.
A politician, for instance, brandishing weapon, a politician using ethnic slurs and inciting violence. All of that were seen, and in certain instances we had they invited them, but we didn't see credible action. So those are the kind of action I would expect them to take. All these actions will be deterrent driven. The intention is to prevent anyone from saying, well, if he did it, I can do it too. If you take action, you will tell the next politician that if you do the same thing, you are also going to.
Kabiru Adam, a security expert, gave emphasis on security measures which should have been put in place to avert attacks recorded during the February 25th elections.
We expected if the provision of an election security management plan by this committee that INEC meets with the security agencies, called the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. If they had produced an election security risk management plan and showed Nigerians, it would have given Nigerians more confidence on the plan they had for managing security. I know the quick response will be, well, we can't show the world our plan. But in today's world, you show the world your plan. You may not give the details that would allow the enemy to evade whatever it is, but enough to bore and show up the confidence of Nigerians to come out on that day to make their vote. So again, I think it's too late, but in the 2027 elections, I hope they do that. Not the last point is the same element I talked about, monitoring and evaluation. Between INEC and this ICSES, Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, we expect them to show us what the terms of reference of each member of ICSES, that's each security organization, is, so that you and I are able to say, this is the role the military is playing, this is the role the police is doing.
Some civil society organizations in their pre-election briefing have also raised alarm over the tense security situation in some parts of the country, emanating from the smear campaigns and aspirations by political actors and enthusiasts ahead of the Saturday polls. They had urged the Nigerian police and other security agencies not to be partisan while beefing up security in states. When asked about expectations from security agencies and intelligence organizations for the March 18 elections in order to boost the confidence of voters, Adamu said,
on election day, I expect to see robust deployment, just like it happened in the National Assembly. Most people don't want to see the military, but sadly, their presence on the case of the presidential and National Assembly elections helped. A good case is Lagos, where there was an attempt to truncate the electoral process. But when the military quickly stepped in, they restored order. So that type of subtle presence without interfering with the electoral process is absolutely important. March 18th elections, I expect to see robust deployment along the lines of the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022. And what are these provisions? 3 concentric cycles of security at the polling unit, on armed security guards, inner perimeter, armed security personnel away from the polling unit, and then the outer perimeter, the last part, will be the cycle where military men and mobile police be. But what is important is making sure there are phone numbers that for ease of communication between these 3 cycles that I've mentioned, and between those in the polling unit, you and I as Nigerians, and then this several security departments, so that if I see something that affects my security, I'm able to make a call quickly, and then the armed security personnel in the inner perimeter and the outer perimeter can quickly come to my rescue. I saw that in the National Assembly and presidential elections. They did put out several telephone numbers. I think they should also do that for the governorship and the state assembly elections, so that Nigerians at the state level are able to have those numbers. And some organizations also developed apps that you can use on smartphones, so that once you are in distress, you can use the app to call for response. So that type of arrangement, I think, will be very helpful.
As earlier announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission, governorship elections will hold in 28 of Nigeria's 36 states on Saturday, March 18, 2023. The governorship and state assembly elections were earlier scheduled for March 11th, but were shifted after a court case hindered the electoral body from reconfiguring the beavers machines used for the presidential and national assembly elections. Anambra, Bayelsa, Edo, Ekiti, Imo, Kogi, Osun, and Ondo have governorship elections off-season due to legislations and court judgments. As 28 states jostle for power, there have been reports of inter-party attacks, vote buying, and religious crisis among supporters. Of the 28 states, 11 governors are seeking re-election in their states, while fresh governors are certain to emerge in 17 other states. States like Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Kwara, Lagos, Nasarawa, Ogun, Oyo, Yobe, and Zamfara are seeking re-election, while new governor will be elected in states like Abia, Akwa Ibom, Benue, Cross River, Delta, Ebonyi, Enugu, Jigawa, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Niger, Plateau, Rivers, Sokoto, and Taraba.